uh, makes no sense for the audio listeners. John started holding his finger to his head, the Rashford celebration. I mean, welcome everybody to 10:15 on Sunday night as Aston Villa confirmed the loan signing of Marcus Rashford. At long last, it feels like. I mean, this link only came out 48 hours ago, but we've all kind of known this was going to happen. Was it going to be Sunday? Was it going to be Monday? Nobody really knows. And as the hours have ticked by throughout the Sunday, we've both, you and I, John, felt like it's probably unlikely to just drop out of nowhere tonight. Although, and I can't prove this, I did say to you earlier that maybe 10 p.m. as he wears number 10. There we go.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I thought we 10 p.m. it's 22, isn't it? I was thinking the 24-hour clock, so maybe it'll be 10 a.m. tomorrow. But here we are. He has announced. There's lots of people watching. We're just gonna have a chat about it. We weren't expecting to be here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we were planning to do a nice jazzy video in our office tomorrow, back in Podymore Heath, which has been renovated as well. So yeah, that's in the bin. Well, not necessarily in the bin. But no, it's fantastic news. I don't know whether the leaked photo that has appeared on social media probably about an hour ago. Was it about an hour ago? Don't know if that's going to force Villa's hand to, push forward the promotion video and stuff. But I did text you a silhouette of Rashford doing a celebration. If they haven't done that, then they've already failed. And to be fair, that's exactly what they did. So fair play there. It's I'm a bit giddy because it just feels like a big, not literally, but similar to the Coutinho deal in a weird way of like a big name. But this isn't the same in terms of player who's over the hill and has 1 year left before injuries hit him and blah, blah, blah. As we'll kind of go on to in this podcast and future podcasts, it's very different. A player who Unai Emery believes he can, rejuvenate. There's something that Daniel Marlin said when I spoke to him, 2 weeks ago now, maybe. The key thing that stood out to me in that interview was that he said, I've come here because Emery has a track record of improving forwards and their numbers specifically. And that is something that Rashford would be well aware of as well. And just on improving his numbers haven't actually been that bad, to be fair, even though his form, considering the player that Rashford is, obviously that's tailed off. But in the last, since the start of last season, only 2 players have got more goal contributions, Villa players that is, than a Rashford, which is, saying something, again, considering his level has dropped quite considerably from where it was. So yeah, I am excited by this as well. Go on to kind of the details about it later on. But yeah, to start with, I think everyone's pretty excited about it.
Yeah, let's clear up a couple of things very quickly. There's a lot of questions in the live chat about Asensio, centre backs, Disasi. Let's not do that right this second. Let's focus this podcast strictly on Rashford. We probably will still go into the office tomorrow and talk transfers.
Yeah, tomorrow there'll be videos coming tomorrow, the next day. Like those bases will be covered.
We'll get to that. Yeah. This is all about Marcus Rashford this evening. A couple of things then. When we first spoke about this on Friday, I mean, from this being out in the public point of view, it's come pretty quickly. Whether Villa have worked on it for longer than 2 days, you would like to think yes, they probably have. But we only really found out about this on Friday. And I, as I've said all the way through these 48 hours, I felt a bit, whatever. Prove me wrong, basically, is the attitude I've got. If Rashford scores 10 goals in the Premier League or the vital goals that gets us to a Champions League quarter-final, brilliant, absolutely money well spent. But I have got niggling doubts, as Villa fans will have as well.
Right, so yeah.
However, what I made very clear in that episode on Friday, for those that didn't see it, was if this move happens, and out now obviously it has, as soon as I see Marcus Rashford pull on a Man United shirt, a Villa shirt, I am all in. Like, he's a Villa player. I want him to do well for his own sake and for Villa's sake. He's an Aston Villa player wearing claret and blue. Marcus Rashford being good benefits our club doing well, and that's what we all fundamentally want. So there will be others watching this that are a little bit concerned about wages, attitude, form, injuries, whatever it is that you have that little thing about, is this the right move or not? He's a Villa player, you back him and you support him and you go from there. Just quickly, what's your take on the wage stuff? 60%, 70%, whatever it is. What do you think?
I think that is actually my real concern. So I don't really want to start this talking about the negatives, to be honest. But yeah, let's get that out of the way. To be honest, that is my concern. Villa's wage to turnover is huge. I think it's something like 98 or 96%. Can't quite remember now. That's not good. But I don't really want to kind of brought into those. I know we need to be balanced about it, but maybe that's put it this way. If Rashford does the business and becomes a top player for Villa, the player that he was at Man United, he's worth that money, because all the top clubs have to pay those wages to get those top players. The only issue for Villa is, of course, they're trying to get up to huge £400+ million of revenue by 2027. They're not there yet. They are getting there. We obviously saw that Champions League's earned them, at least so far, £75 million in total, gate receipts, prize money, value pillars, all that sort of stuff. So they'll get there, I'm sure, under Unai Emery. But right now, it does feel like that wage that we're going to be paying Rashford, it's almost like we jumped a bit early, you could say. But if he was to sign permanently, of course, there would be a negotiation there. Villa can't be paying him £325 a week. I think their top earner probably Martinez, and we know that's in and around 150. That sort of ballpark figure. So, it's also sort of incentivized as well on bonuses, where if he hits, I don't know the exact details, but I presume it would be goals or appearances or something, then Villa would pay more as they go, essentially. But to kind of put it into a positive, I think the fact that it is with a view to permanent, this is the key thing for me. A little video outside Molineux. God, I don't.
Walking around in circles.
Yeah, I was after the game as well, to be honest. But yeah, before I mentioned, the fact that it's a permanent means that he's not just joining to boost himself. He's doing it with a view to this being a permanent residence for him in terms of his footballing career, at least. He's not coming here to impress a suitor thereafter, be it Barcelona. He's doing it to earn a contract at Villa, essentially, which I think is a major thing. If he's joining, and a lot's been said about kind of the attitude and training stuff, I think a lot of that is probably media spin. I mentioned in the video again that, this is a player who knew he was going to leave Man United. It's a player who also played with a broken back for Man United a few years ago, which seems to be lost on some people. But it's also a player that if he joins a squad of Unai Emery's, you have to apply yourself. There's no two ways about it. If he wanted an easy career, going into his kind of prime as such, he's 27 now. If he wants an easy kind of 3-year contract, he'd go elsewhere. You would not be joining an Unai Emery team, would you? Because
if you wanted an easy life,
it's hard work.
Lots of meetings, hard work.
Yeah, but if you want success in football and if you want to improve as a player, you join an Unai Emery squad. So that's why I'm excited by it. He had other options. We can't make a secret that he wanted to go to Barcelona earlier in the window. Maybe that wasn't an option presented to him in terms of Villa at the time. Obviously, the John Duran sale has kind of speeded up the process. So, yeah, I'm enthused by it. I'm excited. Of course, it's a huge undertaking in terms of financials on a wage. But if he does well, £40 million could be I don't want to say a sniff because that's a sizable chunk. But considering the player that Rashford was, 20, 30 goals a season, and up until last season, really, his numbers were fantastic throughout the whole time in which Man United have been absolutely crap. No player has shone for Man United and has left the club kind of with their head held high, essentially. I can't think of many. And usually they do go on to do better things.
Yeah,
it's pretty toxic over there as well. So I'm covering a few bases here. But my kind of feeling right now is one of excitement, and maybe that's the Villa fan in me coming out a little bit. But I think this is a deal which, it could hopefully in a couple of months look like, I mean, I don't think you can say shrewd business because the wage that he's on, but considering it's a loan transfer and that, again, this is a player who's essentially been exiled by Man United. Hopefully it's something that we can take full advantage from.
Yeah, something to work on for Emery. If he can get a tune out of Rashford, the money, I don't want to say it's irrelevant because it isn't, but like I say, if that's the goals that get us into the latter stages of the Champions League or get us into the Champions League positions in the Premier League, then yeah, absolutely, that will make a difference. A couple of comments very quickly. I don't want to get distracted by the live chat too much. There's 600 people watching, which is crazy, which brings in some people maybe that are new audience. A couple of people suggesting, say what you really think, don't be a club man. Nobody from the club is telling us what we can and cannot say. This is our pure opinions. Let's just nip that in the bud straight away. If we're happy or unhappy, these are our opinions. We're not being told anything. And secondly, someone said that their comment got deleted. Wow, no idea. I'm not messing with the comments. If you said something, it's probably spam or swearing or something, maybe. I'm not touching it. Say what you want. Don't care. Don't care as in, like, we're not going to delete them. Say what you like. on the kind of press stuff, the thing that I turned my nose up at on Friday was the kind of maybe the noise around Rashford. That not that he's, I mean, yeah, probably almost a bit of a kind of this reputation that he's a bit of a problem in the dressing room, or Man United managers have wanted to have got rid of him, so there must be something there. I'm kind of hoping and leaning towards that's a Man United problem rather than a Marcus Rashford problem, and that a fresh environment, fresh manager, fresh fan base, new home stadium, everything, even just for these 4 months potentially, will be enough to reinvigorate him. Hopefully beyond that, if he's any good.
Yeah.
The talk yesterday, even I think it was, we talk a lot about the press, and it's countless stories will have been written about him over the years from a Man United perspective, going out clubbing after a defeat, or that kind of stuff that we had from a Villa perspective with Grealish. Kind of hit pieces, if you like, in the media. From an England perspective, the same for Rashford as well.
Yeah.
Even as recently as yesterday, he's not committed to Villa because he's not moving to the Midlands. Okay, like it's a 4-month loan.
Can I nip that in the bud straight away?
Go on.
And say that there's a few players who don't, at least in the Villa squad, who don't live in Birmingham or close to Birmingham. That's the same case for any team in the Premier League.
Very common. Yeah.
It's footballers, in terms of going to games, they'll take jets to go to Newcastle, which I think, I've said it a long time, I think it's pretty disgusting that people, so that teams can do that, flying to away games and stuff. But this is football. It's a multi-billion pound industry, and this isn't anything to do with Rashford. But in terms of transport, forget about it. Manchester to Birmingham in football terms is nothing.
Yeah, it becomes a problem if Rashford is late for training every day. It's a problem then. Yeah, absolutely something to criticise. If he's there working hard, he could live in Scotland for all I care. As long as he's there on time, which I'm sure he will be. Not absolute non-story, but it becomes a story, and this is ironic coming from us, because of the media. Journalists want to write stories that gets hits. It's an anti-Marcus Rashford thing. Let's blow this up bigger than it is. As you say, there are players across the entire Premier League who do not live at the close vicinity to the club they play for. It's not a problem. You don't even hear about it. So that's a nothing non-story. It will be if he's late all the time, as I just said. Right. Okay. Next. Where does he fit in? Where's he going to play? Because he's going to want to play minutes. We need him to play minutes. How do we balance those attacking options that we have now?
Yeah. Well, firstly, he will play off the left. That's his best position. And we're paying him a lot of money to play for Villa. So, I mean, this is the first thought that came to my head was, well, Jacob Ramsey's played well for the last 2 weeks. And I still feel like that. It's difficult because I think as Villa fans, we know that we have to have competition across the team. We've seen that in the last, kind of year. We buy players when it doesn't seem like we need to upgrade, and then all of a sudden it's pretty apparent that we do. For example, Mings was fantastic for us when we went into the Conference League. But then the first thing we do is sign. Well, no, the first thing we do, we obviously signed Tielemans, but we already had Douglas Luiz and we had Kamara. The centre midfield didn't seem like the priority there. Same was left centre back, but we have Tyrone Mings. But you need 2 quality players per position. We don't have that in defence right now, but at least because we're talking about Rashford in the attacking areas of the pitch, we certainly do. You have Ramsey and you have Rashford, 2 different profiles of player as well, which I think is important. Emery said this before.
Yeah.
If you kind of go through the same, Luka Dean and Ian Matson, very different. Anana to Kamara, Barkley. There's kind of variation there, which is great. Rashford is, of course, versatile, but if you're putting him in the 11, my presumption would be that he plays off the left. That isn't kind of great news for Jacob Ramsey, but then equally Rashford can play down the middle or behind Watkins. But then you've got Morgan Rogers, so it's a good problem for Unai Emery to have. Isn't it? It's squad building, for sure. But I can't get away from the feelings of I do feel a bit, I don't say sorry for Jacob Ramsey, because this is the result of playing elite level football. You've got to play better than the player that you're with in your squad. But it's a shame for him really, because he's just coming back from an injury. He feels kind of at the peak of his powers again. When he spoke in the mix zone the other week, he said he feels back to his best after that Celtic match. And to be fair, I think he showed that he was back to his best. He was fantastic. But as I've just said there, it's part and parcel of the game at the elite level. And Villa will have injuries as well over the course of the season and the seasons to come. If Rashford signs permanently, they need that kind of scope of options. So, I'm when we talk about squad building and squad depth, it's hard not to think about the defence, though. Someone can't kind of paint the picture like we've got it nailed. However, we do on the left side, and with Rodgers, with Asensio coming in as well. You obviously got Marlon now. So yeah, definitely good options and a variety of options as well. That's kind of key for me.
Yeah, and it's making everybody play better, isn't it? If Jacob Ramsey is now off the bench, which is a very real possibility if Rashford is fit and ready to go and playing well, Ramsey comes onto the pitch knowing that I'll probably have to score here to even get a chance of getting into this team, and that's of benefit to Aston Villa and the squad. So no complaints for me at all about having too many good players. What would you prefer then? We're bringing on Trezeguet for El Ghazi, and where were we 4 or 5 years ago on deadline day, signing Borja Baston to try and stay in the Premier League. We're now signing Marcus Rashford to try and push into the Champions League. Like, things change very quickly. To sustain that, you need good players. I'm still, as I say, have some kind of niggling red flags that Rashford isn't maybe what we need, or maybe will not rekindle the form that we want him to. But he's a Villa player. I hope Emery can get something out of him. 4 or 5 months of football isn't very long to hit the ground running into a totally new system with a totally new manager and learn everything Emery wants him to do. But if he scores 5, 6, 7, hopefully more actually, 7, 8, 9 crucial goals for us, it's money well spent, isn't it? And on the wages, I know we talk about kind of wages to revenue, turnover, percentage and all that kind of stuff. To kind of flip that the other way, wages to minutes played, let's say. We just shifted Diego Carlos and Buendia off the wage books. Diego Carlos a transfer fee for as well. A small profit on Philogene. Obviously a big profit on Duran, but he wouldn't have been on massive wages anyway. I'm not saying that we're now kind of clear and money well spent, but Rashford's loan is what, 6 or 7 million or something, let's say, as a rough ballpark in terms of wages, etc. We've kind of paid for that with the outgoings we've made this month, and wages to minutes ratio, I'm expecting Rashford to play more minutes for that money than we would have from Buendia and Carlos, if that makes sense. We're getting more from our money in terms of actual on-pitch contribution.
Yeah, no, that's definitely correct in Rashford's case, of course. Asensio would be coming in as well.
We still need more, a
big wage, and a defender is possibly too. But no, you're not wrong. And I say that is my only concern, really. It's the wages and it's the amount of money that we're committing to it. But that's just for now. It's almost like 2 separate deals in a way. Kind of the loan and the high wages up until June, and then the permanent transfer. Again, if we're willing to pay that and he does well, £40 million could be great business. But then you've obviously got to renegotiate that contract as well. So that'll be interesting to see what we'd kind of come up with and how we would, if at all, break that wage structure, because that's important. But as I said, this is all part of being an elite club now. You have to pay those wages. You have to be willing to do it, because if you look at Tottenham, they're a club who don't do that. And all of a sudden you get left behind a little bit. And I'm not saying Tottenham will be down there in 16th forever, because if you're a big 6 club, you have the revenues to, within one summer window, spend the money you want and you'll get back up there. But if you're not an attractive proposition to these players, when you can be, then you're not fulfilling your own ambitions, essentially. You're not fueling it. So, we're doing the opposite of Tottenham in that sense of, we know exactly what we want. Or Sessaweris and Wazin certainly do. And they're going to do everything in their power to get there. And we're already in a good position, but it's staying there. And that's the challenge that we have. And signing Rashford, kind of wages aside, I do say it's a statement, because, yes, other clubs could have taken him as well. And there wasn't like too much interest. But I think it's a statement because of the manager that we have and the trust that I think he'll show in him as well. And as I say, there's no room for Rashford to slack in this team. If he does, okay, he won't be here after June. And Villa have spent, a fair amount on wages, but there's no commitment there. There's no obligation. So it goes one or two ways. Either he's not good enough for Villa and he doesn't work hard enough under Unai, and you kind of, reassess the situation in the summer and you don't pay £40 million, or you have one of England's best attacking players in your squad.
As an option to buy. I still think, and there's a comment there, the snake in me thinks that Marcus Rashford might be using Villa for a better option. Yeah, maybe. That is
I wouldn't be so
a
sure,
potential
because I'm not so sure. I think Rashford has gone through quite a lot over the last few years. If he can rediscover his form under Emery, I think he'd be quite potentially foolish to throw that away.
I agree, but that's footballers can be foolish. Barcelona might come back in the summer because he's been very good in the back half of this year, and he thinks, oh yeah, Barcelona are better than Villa. Come on then.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's assess that when we get to it, and if that is the case, but he's done very well for us, and we're in the Champions League or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
in some senses.
Yeah, I really don't want to bring this back up, but it's kind of like the Steven Gerrard to Liverpool situation when we were all thinking, oh, he's got a 4-year deal, Klopp's deal runs out, and it kind of lines up, and we're all thinking one thing, and then it doesn't materialize that, like that whatsoever. So I think it's easy to kind of quickly look at, if he does well for us, there's no guarantee. Well, Villa have an option, and that's the best they can do. And it's, I think, a good fee as well if we get there and he does well. So no, I'm excited by it. I know. If you went to a video a couple of days ago, you'd be looking at us very differently, and we'd be pretty skeptical about it. But
it's happened now, so we have no choice but to support it.
No. But as in, like, we could be sitting here and saying, yeah, but he's been out of form. Is what I'm actually most encouraged by, and I know this is, not particularly the best gauge of it, but a couple of my close friends, and if you know me, the only conversation I'll have with you is about football and about tactics and stuff. I'm pretty boring, so you've got to kind of know your stuff if you're in my inner circle, essentially. That's
I'm your inner circle for knowing football. No, we talk about it together a lot, but do we know what we're talking about?
Yeah. No, the point I'm trying to make is that a couple of my close friends, one of my close friends is a Man United fan, and also what I've seen from social media, a lot of Man United fans are kind of unhappy by it because they don't want to see Rashford wearing another team's shirt. It'd be like similar to Grealish in a way, not the same level, but kind of like he's your player and you don't want to see him somewhere else. But also because they've got a gut feeling that he's actually going to do very well. And they genuinely believe that with a fresh start, he could really hit it off. And that's something that's kind of struck me. Because I genuinely thought, he'll maybe comes to Villa, and United fans will say, best of luck to Rashford, but it's time to move on. We didn't want that kind of hanging around anymore. It's actually the opposite from what I've seen anyway, from most of the accounts that I've seen. And again, this is only social media, don't get me wrong.
You should see some of the ones in the comments.
I don't look at comments.
Oh, shall I read this one then? Let's just get this out of the way first, because we've said before, I'm not that bothered sometimes what the opposition fans think, because it's totally different. You're talking various managers.
Yeah, but but you have balanced fans of clubs, which I think I like to think that we are, most of the time. And then you have people who are. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, tell you what, you'll get off Rashford late for.
There we go. Say no more.
We'll only play off the left, and we'll not track back and defend. If he has to play through the centre, he has a meltdown. Whatever. Yeah, maybe for Ten Hag or some other bums at United, but it's different for Emery. It's a different environment. It's just. I would judge Marcus Rashford on the following 4 months and beyond that he does for Villa, not the previous 2 or 3 years that he's had for Man United where he struggled. I'm hoping that's Man United that's the problem. The club that sold Anthony Elanga for peanuts, who's very good now, and signed Anthony
precisely
for stupid money and then loaned him out to whoever he's gone to in Spain. They're the mess. Rashford might have problems somewhere, but I'm hoping the fresh start and this kind of massive support for him kind of puts all those Man United things to bed, and fans can slag him off all they want in comments and Twitter and whatever else. But like you said, people that are, I don't want to say real, because clearly these are people as well.
Yeah.
There's more nuance to it than just like, oh, he's Rashford. Come on, what are we, 10?
And again, he's still got 14 goal contributions since the start of last season for a team who's pretty pony, finishing mid-table last season and right now are not far off a relegation fight and lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace at home. It's hardly high standards that Man United have been setting for Rashford to hit. So what I'm trying to get at is that I was a bit surprised to see so many United fans and people who I've, would listen to within the media, who actually think that, okay, I think he'll do quite well at Villa. And that'll be the worst thing about the situation. And Amorim was asked about it in his press conference afterwards, saying, if Rashford does well for Villa and scores lots of goals, is that a bit embarrassing for you and the club? And he was like, no. I expect players to go out on loan and play well. It's not embarrassing. It's kind of like, they're just doing their thing. Yeah. But I think it would be embarrassing because it essentially would sum up the atmosphere of that club. But that's nothing new, and Villa fans won't want to hear that, so we won't talk about it anymore. But it is just linking to the point of, I don't believe we've signed a player who is just going to completely down tools now and won't give it his all. Because I said in the previous video, this feels like make or break for Rashford. He can't come to Villa for different reasons. Right, firstly, he can't come to Villa and play under Emery and not give it all, give it his all, because he, like Man United, just won't be in the, he won't play. It doesn't matter how much you're earning per week. He'll have other options that they can use. So he has to apply himself, and I'm sure he will. But secondly, because as I just said then, where does Rashford go after this? He may get another move elsewhere, but it's not going to be the move that he wants, and he's not going to be playing or have the luxury to play at the elite level and compete in the biggest games and get back in the England squad. He has everything still there for him right now. I'm sure Tuchel will be delighted to see him sign for Villa.
I was just going to bring that up, yeah.
Okay. And he has the opportunity to play Champions League. He has the opportunity to work on a fantastic coach in a brilliant environment as well.
Like, let's not
the
make
players
no
within the Villa
this is a
dressing
step
room.
up for Man United.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But I'm just finishing on, this is a brilliant environment for him to work in. It's kind of conducive for that. You've got younger players that also he can help as well. Rodgers, Ramsey, other players, there's a lot going for him, and this is the start that he needs, not just to join a club like, and no disrespect to, i.e. Crystal Palace or somewhere else like that, where their ambition, there's a ceiling, right? For Villa, he's got everything there that he needs, at least in this second half of the season, to do what he's wanted to do with Man United, essentially. And if it works, why wouldn't he sign that permanent deal? So, yeah, I'm excited by that. And obviously, there's ways where it can also go wrong. But the key thing is it's very little risk for Villa. Yes, it's a high wage, but we're talking, a few millions of pounds. We haven't paid £30 million right now to sign him, and then you've got to flog him for £10 million in 2 years. Yeah, this isn't a Coutinho deal. So, you can talk about Villa being a step up from Man United now.
Oh, well, it is, isn't it? I mean, Man United, the institution of what they are, and a historical club, whatever. Yeah, of course, won millions of things. But as of the last few years, even, Villa are better than Man United. We've finished above them for a couple of seasons. We're in the Champions League. Yeah. It's a very simple equation. Villa are a better proposition than Manchester United at the moment. Like that, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. That's just where these two clubs are.
There's no kind of realm in which right now Man United is better than Aston Villa.
No, not one single aspect.
I don't think that changes for a few years, to be perfectly honest with you. If Villa continue to do what they're doing, and they have challenges, they have PSR challenges, as the Man United, to be fair, because I've spent, over £1 billion, probably the most in a certain amount of time over the last decade or so. So yeah, this isn't kind of like we're digging into Man United session, although people would love that, I'm sure. We are just speaking the truth. This is obviously a step up for Rashford now. But it's not just a step up. It's just, he could have gone to Arsenal like Sterling did, for example. That hasn't worked. It's not right. It's not right fit. He's made a step up, but to also elevate his career, not just to play in a better competition and stay at his level. He's playing in better competition, but under a manager that can get him back to where he was. And that's the key thing for me here. It's like, for him as an individual, he's got everything he needs to get back to that level. He's not just playing as part of a team, and doing his thing and mixing it. For example, if you took a Rashford right now and put him in the Chelsea team, he probably doesn't get that much better, but he's part of it. Kind of like Sancho, who has got better actually since leaving Man United, which says a lot. But he's just kind of, Sancho is doing quite, so it's not the best example, but if you put Rashford in that team, he stays at the level and people kind of forget he exists a little bit. Put him in at Villa, where the onus is on him to improve and be the player that he was, and that's Emery's focus as well as it is with all the other players. That's different. He's becoming a better player and playing in the competitions that he wanted to. So, yeah, for a number of reasons, that's why I'm glad that he's accepted that challenge. I think it's one of those where if it came out, Villa after him, but Rashford rejected it, we'd all say, good, because we want a player who wants to realise exactly the opportunity that you have at Villa. And right now, there's a few clubs that you'd rather go to, I think, as a player that's upwardly mobile and that clearly has the infrastructure around you to become the best player that you can.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm surprised by the United fans in the comments, but I'm not laughing at us for saying that Villa are a step up. Just lost to Palace at home, mate. Lost 5 home games out of 7, I think it is, for Amorim. The worst, the quickest managers to lose that many games at home.
Can we? we're not going to bite at comments, but list the reasons or reason. I don't know why.
They don't care,
why
mate.
right now?
They won a few titles. That must be. They must be better.
We shouldn't bite, but please do list the reasons.
That's ridiculous. Because you not get your own podcast to tune into. I mean, thanks for the engagement, by the way. But what are you doing with your life? Let's talk about Marcus Rashford. No, actually, no, let's not do that just yet. England, something I've not seen mentioned much anyway until you just said about Tuchel. Then that's a carrot as well to get back into the England squad and be a part of the World Cup squad in 2026. Now, whether again that's 4 months at Villa and then he moves somewhere else and he's amazing again, or whether it's he stays here, which is obviously for us, we hope that is the case. But England is a thing to get into as well. There's a new manager to impress. There's a squad to get into. If he's not motivated by anything else, England is something as well.
But on that, and this is the kind of point I tried to say earlier, if he works well, Rashford, and gets back in the England team, even in March, which is maybe too soon, to be fair, probably definitely too soon. But I don't know, the summer internationals, and Tuchel's kind of, checking in with him every now and again as the season goes on, because he's doing well for Villa. It's similar to Watkins in a way where, well, why risk not having that again to go to X club and then it doesn't quite work out when you've got it exactly right at Villa? For example, with Watkins, he told Emery that he's happy to stay at Villa previously in the week. And Emery was saying, now it's Watkins' kind of turn to give back to Villa, because Villa has given him everything that he wants. Premier League goals, Champions League, crucially, the dream of playing for England and scoring that goal in the semi-final of the Euros. If you go to another club and don't play, well, then it's the next striker up. Because, for example, it's different, but Ivan Toney, for example, it's very different, actually. It's probably not the best example. But once you have the opportunity, you can do two things. You can either take it and grasp it and keep it, or it's up to you to give it away, essentially. Toney chose to give it away, and that's fine because he's earning generational wealth. You do you. But for Watkins, it's different. He wants to stay in it. Watkins can be the number 9 for England in the 2026 World Cup. Why would you jeopardise that, going to another club and it might not work and you lose that opportunity? You'd be kicking yourself for life. Same goes for Rashford. He's been out of the England team, out of favour. Everything's going wrong for him on the pitch. Or kind of everyone at least tries to make that out. If it works at Villa, it'd be silly to throw that away. So, yeah, let's hope that isn't the case and that under Unai, he realises what a fantastic opportunity this is. I'm just glad in the first place that he's viewed that. Another point that I wanted to raise, I've texted you before about 9 o'clock, penalties. He scores penalties. Yeah. And maybe it's been jinxed now. But yeah, scored the last 11 penalties he's taken since October 2019, I think it is. Villa have missed 3 of the last 6. So there's your new penalty kick taker. I love Ollie Watkins, but he has missed 6 and scored 6 of the 12 he's taken in his professional career, I think. So, yeah, Rashford scored 18 out of 20 in his professional career. Last missed twice in just the start of the 2019-20 season. So, yeah, free kicks as well. I don't know how many he scored, to be fair. Free kicks, Rashford, but I know he takes them.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat will be pleased to know that the Man United fans suggesting that Villa are a League One level club has been banned from the chat. So enjoy the rest of your evening, mate. I like a bit of extra engagement, but I just can't be arsed. Like, what is the point? Let's finally talk about Marcus Rashford's Instagram post. He says, I would like to thank Manchester United and Aston Villa for making this loan deal happen. I was lucky to have a few clubs approach me, but Aston Villa was an easy decision. I really admire the way that Aston Villa have been playing this season and the manager's ambitions. I just want to play football and I'm excited to get started. I wish everyone at Man United all the best for the rest of the season. I mean, I don't, but you do you, Marcus. I mean, there is a little bit of me that thinks like, oh, if he can't even do it for the club that he loves, like, can he get himself up for it? But I am just still going to come back to the fact that Man United is the problem there. Like, it's not the
club that he loves. Yeah, it's not the club that he loves, though, is it?
Yeah,
it's, I think a lot of United fans will feel like that as well. It's kind of been ripped away a little bit, and no sympathy at all. Obviously, this is not a call for that at all. But yeah, it's especially for him. I don't mean in terms of fans. You obviously you support your club through thick and thin, whatever. But being there, and anyone can talk about wages. Money doesn't matter to how you feel in kind of your mental state. And he has been dragged through the media a lot, and I think he's probably aware that a lot of that is because he's a Manchester United player. There'll be people there that he has known for nearly his whole life, and they're probably still at that club that he respects and will always respect. But there's also probably some part of it that he just needs to escape from. And as I say, a fresh start that is exactly what he needs. Kind of a clearer headspace as well. It's just a fresh start. That's what that is exactly.
And sometimes players need that.
Can be
exactly
what
around
you
the
need.
shoulder, new environment, and all of a sudden he looks like a player that can take on the world again, and that's a benefit to us and to Marcus Rashford. So hopefully that is the case. He isn't cup tied for those asking, so he could feature as soon as Spurs if he's fit. Obviously, he's not been involved in a matchday squad at Man United for, I think I saw 50 days or something earlier.
He has been training as far as I'm aware, though. He just hasn't been picked
so
for those reasons.
if he's fit and available, he could play against Spurs this time next week, making his Villa debut. And then is it Ipswich after that, John? Or Chelsea?
Ipswich. I don't know if this is true, but I did see somewhere, and I should have looked myself, to be fair, but I think if Liverpool win the Carabao Cup game, it may be brought forward. Maybe. Don't kind of quote me on that, but if so, I think it may be.
Yes, I remember seeing that somewhere as well.
I did see it somewhere, but I don't know. I think it came from Liverpool website. I haven't seen it kind of shown anywhere else where I thought I might have seen it on the Villa website or something, but I haven't, so I don't know that for sure, so I'm not going to say it, but potentially Liverpool after that. I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. By the way, but a lot of home games, which I think is good. Yeah, Spurs at home, Ipswich at home, Chelsea at home, possibly Liverpool at home. So yeah, that's I think that's a benefit as well.
Match fit is right for the comments to point out. Yeah, whilst he might still be training, not played a competitive match for a while, so might take a couple of games to get up to speed, which will be important for context near the time to maybe not judge him too quickly if he looks a little bit rusty for a couple of games. Well, you would have some context of why that might be the case.
We've watched him live, haven't we, this season when Villa played United, and I'm not just saying this now.
You thought he was the best player on the pitch, did you?
No, but what I do remember from the game, if there was any sort of quality, Fernandes did it at the bar from a free kick, which was it was off target technically. But Rashford, every time he got the ball, he was positive, and I think he beat Matty Cash a couple of times. And I just remember there was a few moments where I kind of thought, oh, he's still got a bit, Rashford. Like, he's clearly not in form, and he clearly isn't exactly what is needed for Man United right now because of different reasons. But whenever he picked up the ball, I just thought, oh, he's a problem. And he was still quick. He still had a turn of pace, and it was sharp in the box. And there was a little montage that I watched for about 2 minutes. And one of them was when he kind of cut inside the box and shifted past Matty Cash and got a shot off. I think it either hit the side netting or Martinez saved it. But that was about the only snapshot I had in that game, apart from Philly G nearly scoring at the end and Fernandes hitting the bar. But it was this kind of one of the takeaways I took from that game. It was, don't get me wrong, it was pretty lifeless. But it was that Rashford actually is not a bad player. He's just not at the level or doesn't have the confidence right now. But a confident Marcus Rashford is one of the best attackers in the Premier League. So let's try and get it out of him.
A couple of people are saying they reckon he might be cup tied. Man United's first game in the FA Cup was Arsenal, wasn't it? He didn't play.
He didn't play.
So not cup tied, unless we're missing something, but I don't think we are. A comment just to clear up quickly from Stephen from earlier. If we can only register 3 extra players for the Champions League, we sign Rashford, Garcia, Marlon, Asensio is to come, and maybe a centre-back. Yeah, emphasis on the maybe. We'll hopefully we will be signing one, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Who misses out? Which one can't be registered? And we said on a recent episode that if Villa were to lose 5 first-team players from List A in their Champions League squad, which they have, they could register an extra 4th player. We were incorrect. We read the rules wrong. We read the ruling wrong. Yeah. It is only going to be 3, which I don't think is as big a problem as some people are making out to be.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy, but I remember doing a piece about it. I do vividly remember that rule, but I thought it was for something else because you look at the UEFA rules a lot, especially before the transfer window, and it's calendar year. So I think that's is it like Scandinavian teams or something? I'm not sure. Bodo Glimt or something. Villa could play 4 more games in the Champions League. I hope they play as many as they need to get to the final, but they can manage without Andres Garcia right back. They can, get through it. So it's not a major problem.
It'll be Rashford, Marlon, and Asensio will be the 3 if Asensio goes through. If we sign a centre-back, it won't be him either, because I think Torres will probably be back around that kind of time.
Torres should be back before the Champions League starts,
It won't be Garcia because Cash should be back around that kind of time as well. And
you are leaving yourself light. It's not ideal, is it?
But the forward players, Rashford, Asensio, Marlon, are I think more important for us progressing in the Champions League than Garcia in the squad.
Or at least try and tell them you're not in the squad for the Champions League. It's not a conversation I would want to have. So I would actually argue that I wouldn't take one of those forwards, and I'd probably bring in a defender, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I don't know.
It depends what business happens in the next 24 hours, quite literally. That is right.
Yeah.
It depends what happens. I mean, Bailey's got interest from a couple of clubs. I mean, that's about it really in terms of the forward line. If we're going to lose anyone, but
You know,
I think we are. I
Watkins is
think
still
we are
gonna
well
leave?
stocked. Huh?
Don't think Arsenal coming in for a late bid for Watkins.
Yeah, maybe. Doesn't.
We spoke about this before. If Arsenal
do
wanted
what they
Watkins, they should have been on January 1st, shouldn't they? At a decent offer instead of
Yeah.
45 million with a couple of days to go. They're not going to get him. There is a little bit of worry about, I think, from other fans, they're looking at us signing Rashford and thinking, well, does that? I think Arsenal fans are going, well, does that mean Watkins might be available then? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Watkins will not leave tomorrow. I can pretty much safely say Ollie Watkins will still be a Villa player.
You were about to bet on something there, Dan. But
I was about to say the thing about I'll
you?
shave my head again, but like I'm willing to shave my head, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's no biggie.
Yeah, Watkins will still be here. I'm not stressed at all. It might leave in the summer, maybe it's a totally different conversation then for various different reasons.
Back to Rashford.
I don't think he will. He's not leaving tomorrow. Let's all just chill out, shall we? We've got to get one more Man United comment out of the way because it's too good not to. From Z, who says, "Big bad Villa just lost to Wolves and are 8th, but are so much better than United." Yeah, right.
United lost to Wolves.
Who lost to Palace today and are 13th.
I mean, United lost on Boxing Day to Wolves, so I've kind of just dragged us down to that level, I suppose. But anyway, he's got his nibble.
Hopefully
one more thing that I wanted to.
Hopefully they got maths early this morning, tomorrow morning when he's in school with the rest of his pals, because this is the level of banter that we're talking about.
One last thing I wanted to say about Rashford. I say one last thing. It's probably much more, but another kind of point that's in my head is kind of what I mentioned earlier about potentially a positive influence on the likes of Ramsey and Rodgers and other parts of the squad. This kind of signing can lift the team in general. I don't think we need too much of a confidence boost because we only a few days ago got to the Champions League round 16, so the confidence should be higher. I don't think we showed that against Wolves, but I think we, for different reasons, understand part of that, defensive issues, and after the Champions League games, we don't really show up. But this kind of signing can raise levels again. I'm looking at the likes of, almost anybody in that forward line. No one's safe is the kind of thing. I went through the forwards early and forgot to mention John McGinn, for example, the captain. There's serious competition here, and this is the kind of point in a transfer window where everyone makes their kind of 11s and posts them on Twitter and whatnot. And there's always big discussions about certain players. It's an incredibly difficult job to do. Firstly, because we always seem to have an injury, but also because, well, does an 11 even exist? Oh, of course it does. But how do I put this? It's about finishes as well, right? Like we saw last season with Bailey and different things. And it's about how you manage a game. Players will come on the 60th minute and have half an hour, which is, not far off half of the game. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not just a fixed 11. We're going to have a very strong bench, and that's really important for the second half of the season. I can't stop thinking about the defence, but we'll get to that. 43 minutes of Rashford until we got to it. So yeah, that's for another day, like tomorrow. For now, we can at least be excited about this.
Yeah, I'm going to make a point here that is speculative, but let's see if you think there's anything in it. I think Marcus Rashford a few years ago was like, I don't want to say like a poster boy, but was like clearly a very well-known figure for Man United, playing for England, scoring goals, won FA Cups, won the Europa League, etc., etc. I think for the English lads that Villa have got, maybe less so Watkins because he's older. He's obviously older than Rashford. But like for a Ramsey and a Rodgers who are 22 and 23, Rashford is 27. So similar enough. It's not like Morgan Rodgers was watching Marcus Rashford as a child, and this is a player at the back end of the career. But like coming through at like a similar-ish age, he's 4 or 5 years older than me. I'd be thinking as a 16-year-old Morgan Rodgers, Marcus Rashford's got a pretty decent career. Like I'd like to be him, kind of thing. I wonder how that will lift the level for the English lads in the squad. Of like, there's something here that we can make him better, but he'll make us better. We're all in this together. We might play for England together. Like that feels like a good kind of like vibe to
exactly. Yeah. It's the right chemistry, and you're right. Like I'm a similar age to Jacob and Morgan, and my memories of Rashford was the young boy kind of broke on the scene. I remember the 2 goals against Arsenal, the goal against City. He was the thing. And he was for a few years after that, again, scoring 20, 30 goals. But I do think there was almost a thing in the media, or maybe we were just, as English fans, we kind of just ignored it. Maybe even because he played for Man United and we didn't want to quite look at it on Match of the Day when he'd scored 2 goals again. For example, the last Premier League start he made, he scored twice. He scored a brace against Everton. But people probably didn't know that because they just don't want to look at Man United results. And if they win and whatever, ignore it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the guy scores a lot of goals and did before last season at a rate that, you know, we have only seen since Ollie Watkins last season. So yeah, we're getting a player who comes with, you know, serious pedigree. And yeah, you're right, for those younger lads, I suppose, and especially the English ones, I guess. Yeah, he was, you know, the poster boy of the Premier League for a few years. I mean, FIFA made a whole game mode about his journey,
Yeah.
essentially, you know, if you want to kind of go down into it. So yeah, I do think that'll help. This isn't just kind of a player who arrives and then they realise within a week, oh, he's a bit up himself or whatever, kind of this. I don't know.
I don't think that'll be true anyway.
But what I'm trying to, how do I put it? Like, I'm sure they'll just get on with him. If that makes, by the way, I haven't painted him like that. As in, if it's I don't know, some random player from the Spanish league, but he comes with a big pedigree and he's got 20, 30 goals a season, but it's kind of a bit fractious. They don't quite click in terms of off the pitch or in the dressing room. This feels like it should work. Like, I would see no reason why not. So that's good. It's just like Dan, though, I'm sure he'll integrate into the dressing room pretty seamlessly. He's obviously, I presume anyway, played with the England team when Mings was playing, Watkins maybe as well. So yeah, nothing will be particularly new for him. In terms of the standards that are going to be set, he would have had that before to a level with some of the previous coaches he's had. Obviously, things have gone pretty wrong for Man United recently, but I think it's good for him to concentrate on his football, and it's going to be difficult for him not to do that, really, when Unai's got him in a room with the rest of the squad, or when they're doing individual clips as well, for, you know, for hours on end. Here's how we play. Make sure you learn it. If you don't, you don't play. And as I say, after this, your career's, where's it going to go next? So he has to do those extra sessions. He has to do the video analysis and be in the hotel room before games and, you know, work on all the tactics. And Austin McPhee's got his big clipboard for the set pieces. Like, it's impossible to escape football for Marcus Rashford. And I think that's what he wants, to be honest. I think he'll be up for doing that. I think at Man United, that's different, knowing he's either not going to play, or if he doesn't play well, he's in the headlines again. As I say, even though actually his level, you know, hasn't been fantastic, but compare that to the rest of the United squad and compare that to the rest of the attacks in the Premier League, still a good player, even when he's not on song.
Yeah. It's a comment from Rob, who said, you know what, come June, we'll be able to assess this deal and say if it was a success or not. At the moment, nobody knows. Yeah, precisely. Like, we all hope it is. I can understand the reasons why we feel maybe nervous or apprehensive about it. But on paper, if Rashford applies himself, gets to training on time from wherever he's living and scores some goals for Villa, this will work.
Yeah, and
straightforward.
As the comment says, we'll assess it then. And again, it will be two pathways. It will be, we don't sign him and you've spent a few £1 million on wages for a move that had potentially a huge reward in terms of output and the level. If it doesn't work, okay. If it does work, okay, well, that's £40 million. £40 million these days is that doesn't get you too much. I mean, how much did Lindstrom cost Everton, who I don't think scored in about 80 games? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult to get that level of player. So, yeah, one or two ways. And I think both of them, one of them is kind of, okay, you know, shake hands afterwards. The other one is fantastic. You have an England international, one of the best players in the Premier League. If he gets that back to that level, he's only 27. He should be in his prime years now. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Is there anything else, John, you want to discuss? We've done 48 minutes. I know we could talk about Asensio and centre-backs and whatnot, but as we said...
It's deadline day tomorrow.
We'll do it then. This was strictly the Rashford episode. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss that we haven't?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. There's obviously stuff that I'll be thinking about when I'm in bed and sleeping and thinking... No, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's going to be on your mind now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there will be talking points that crop up off the back of this. Yeah. Whether he plays against Spurs is one of them. How long is he going to take to get in into match fitness? What does our forward line look like, including Marcus Rashford? Like, there will be talking points, but as of 11 o'clock on Sunday, I think we've probably exhausted.
We've done well for 50 minutes. Yeah, the initial reaction. But again, this is it's a big news story in general because it's Marcus Rashford. He's got a massive profile.
I mean, I will say, from like a comment there from Lionel, from a brand exposure perspective, this is massive as well. A ton of shirts will be sold. Yeah, in theory, I don't know how many people are buying a Rashford loan shirt. I'm not interested in that. Permanent signing, yeah, it might be good, might be crap. I've got him on my shirt for 4 months, but yeah, people will get him on their shirt. Same with Asensio as well. It is interesting, the kind of like reaction to it, and this is what we talk about with a fresh start. Like, this is obviously a big story. You look at Marcus Rashford in a Villa training top, and you think that looks weird. Like, I always just thought he'd play for Man United forever because that's him.
You can almost go on.
Like, all the noise around Rashford at the moment is negative. It's Man United this, Man United that, attitude, training, Amorim, leaky roof at United, whatever it is. It's bad news when it comes to Rashford in United. You kind of click your fingers. He signs for Villa, and Man United fans aside that are still crying. I mean, wiping their tears before they go to bedtime. It's the Villa fans and the wider footballing world are looking at that and going, like, the neutrals are going, oh, what a window Villa are having. They don't realise that we're short in defence. Like, we're still having
they don't know.
But from a forward perspective, like, it's a big deal. This is a big story. And Villa, like, all the kind of online presence now is positive around Marcus Rashford. His first
that is true.
Villa will be a positive uplift for things. He's not experienced that at United for God knows how long. So that's what you mean by a fresh start.
I think you make a really good point there, Dan. And that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier about United fans are disappointed because he's gone. But also, I think they're aware that this could really work for him. And I think a lot of outsiders in football are suddenly looking at it and thinking, actually, looks like a good deal. Yeah, like everyone's quick to bash him. But actually, we know he's a good player, really. And if he can get to that level, he's much more than a good player. So, yeah, I think it's one of those where this could go very well for us. And you're right. It's a fresh start for him, not just kind of in football terms and on the pitch, but also away from it. Yeah, and the media will be the media. I presume we've seen another comment there. But the media will be the media, but the fans will get behind him. Neutrals as well. I think, yes, not everybody likes Aston Villa, but everyone hates Man United in a way, and everyone wants Marcus Rashford to fail at Man United like they do Garnacho, like they do Lenny Yoro, like it's Man United. No, but with Villa, it's not the same. People, I think, will just be like, "Oh, Rashford scored again. Oh, great! England, that sort of thing." I don't think they'll care. If anything, the outside will be almost be like, "Oh, it's good to see Rashford playing well." Genuinely, unless you're a Newcastle fan or something like that, and you're kind of a direct rival. The only other thing I was going to say, which you kind of referenced earlier about kind of kits and stuff, and this is a kind of a small point and only like a fraction of a positivity, but because, as I mentioned, people will have grown up watching Rashford, and, for example, fans in America and worldwide, they may have got into Premier League football and started following United, for example, because they saw him score against City, because they saw him score against Arsenal twice and kind of broke on the scene. And as I said, there's FIFA and all sorts. It really created a brand for him, that. And I do genuinely think some people follow Rashford, and that is it. And they may just be a United fan as a byproduct. That can change now. If he suddenly hits it off for Villa, probably start following Villa and following his journey. And that's how you grow worldwide, essentially, or one of the reasons anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if, he becomes what he was over the next couple of years, if Villa grow, pretty rapidly in certain parts, which again, is part of the growth of a football club. And again, when you're an elite team, you have to have elite players, which brings lots of different positives commercially as well. So, it's something that ticks a lot of boxes, but now it's up to him, basically. Everything is there for him to succeed at Villa. It's now just up to Marcus to do his thing. And there's, a couple of reasons why it might not happen, but there's more reasons, or I think anyway, there's more reasons why it should work than it shouldn't. So that's why I'm being positive about it.
Do you want me to read the stupid comments that made me laugh, or shall I just leave it?
Why not?
Okay. Z says, our good old friend Z.
Again.
2 shout-outs. Fair play to him. I mean, he's done his job, hasn't he? We're talking about him, which is probably what he wants. But still haven't beaten us in the league for years. I mean, 2022, Unai Emery's first game, we beat you at Villa Park. I'm sure we all remember that. And haven't won anything for 50 years. I mean, we've not won as many things as Man United, but I mean, it's 30 years, which is still a long time. But we won the European Cup less than 50 years ago. So factually incorrect. See me after class, Z. And Harrison says, wiping our tears, 40 mil and 359k off the wages a week. They are tears of joy, my brother. I mean, Man United are still contributing at least 100 grand of his wages to play for Champions League Aston Villa while you dick around in 13th. So, I mean, that's on you, mate. Fair play. So, it just made me laugh. I don't know why I'm getting to. I don't care about Man United. I hate Man United. This thing is like a rivalry. Villa trying to force a rivalry. I mean, you're watching our podcast at 11 o'clock on a Sunday.
They must like Marcus Rashford, and that goes back into my point of like people just they follow him around. So
even Goldbridge was saying he's going to keep an eye on Villa now because of Rashford.
Yeah. As I say, I know people who are more invested now with Villa than United, I think. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean,
but I'm
we
positive
said
about it.
this could not work, and we do look silly. Like we're kind of like now pro Marcus
but
Rashford. And a couple of days ago we were
but
like,
what are we looking?
we're
not looking. What we're looking silly about? This is a player who Unai Emery wants.
If he's
to
not
sign.
very good, it'll be the Man United fans will be like, oh, we told you it was Trashford. It'll be that one.
Oh yeah. But the fans who are saying that are, I don't care. I wouldn't. I'd ignore that. So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And as I say, Villa have lost a few £1 million, but that is it. They have Jacob Ramsey, they have Morgan Rogers, Daniel Marlon, John McGinn, Marco Asensio is coming in, Ollie Watkins. There's quite a lot there to, score goals with still.
Yeah.
As we'll talk about tomorrow, we need things to keep clean sheets with. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, right. Let's wrap it up there then. John, thanks for joining me. Another almost hour-long podcast. I think we've done 4-hour-long shows this week, so thanks everyone for sticking with us. There is a lot of Villa content, and these shows are longer than we tend to do. So, yeah, appreciate that. Shout out all you United fans as well. Kept us going for an hour, entertaining us all in the comments. Thank you for the additional engagement, revenue, views, etc. It all helps. Thank you. Big shout out to all the Villa fans as well. 800 people. How many are Villa fans? Who knows? Probably half. 11 o'clock on a Sunday. Fair play to you. We will be back tomorrow with at least one podcast, probably 2, maybe 3. Who knows? Marco Asensio looks like that will get done as well. Villa need a centre back. They need one. This talk of like, maybe they won't. We do need one.
It's going to be a big day.
Yeah,
important day.
We'll be here throughout the day, various different live streams, whatever. Keep an eye. If you enjoy the podcast, there'll be plenty of content coming from us throughout Monday and into Tuesday. So keep abreast with all of that across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Once this video ends, you can leave a comment down below on YouTube, with your thoughts on Rashford. United fans.
I think there's going to be a fight in the comment section. I mean, I don't look at them, but
I don't mind.
It's
let them do what they want.
Yeah, we need the Villa fans to hold the ground in the comment section.
I think people just like trolling. Everyone hates United. We're laughing at you, United fans. The whole nation is laughing at you being awful. Like, you're the joke. You're the butt of the joke. If you think we're like wound up by Man United fans, you're the butt of the joke. I don't think they understand. Right, night everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Get those alarms set early for school, United fans. It's a big day tomorrow. Mathematics first thing in the morning. John, thanks for joining me. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Claret and Blue podcast. And we'll be back at least once tomorrow on Tuesday. Bye-bye.